Okay, so anyway, Rattlecat here, and Shrineart's about ready to join me here, and she's freaking out over her computer here. So we decided to do this Voicebox thing because, you know, I used to run a radio show, and we don't have the radio show, and Hannah never got to listen to the radio show. Really? Fat kid, you gonna lay on me?
Oh, thanks.
I'm kidding.
I'm sorry, I went from my arm around my girl. Is that not allowed? Is that not allowed on the radio?
It's not allowed. Anyway.
Okay, I see how you are.
So, anyway. We got a question from Insane-Alchemist on the 9 forum. The question is, you have a choice. We can either live the life we're living, or we can change it drastically. If it changes, the life that we have to choose is all the stitchpunks come to life, and they bring the machines with them. Describe how your life would change and the things you would do. Would you like to go first, or should I start the whole monologue?
Okay, well, first of all, if we're going through the concept of how RagNBone is set up, fuck yes, I do.
Yeah, I mean, if it went exactly as RagNBone went, and there's a lot of terrible things that happen in RagNBone, but if it were to go exactly the way in RagNBone, it would be perfect, because frankly, right now, we're kind of living in a duplex that is never clean. We have a cat that we shouldn't have, we have a rabbit we shouldn't have, and we're paying $6.75 out the ass a month, and we're about ready to get laid off of our job, so I would rather kind of either be stuck in this position with the stitchpunks, or, you know, have machines coming after me. It'd be kind of awesome if we had the chimeras at the same time.
I think it would make life a lot more exciting. I mean,
hell yeah!
If we go exactly by the way RagNBone goes, that would mean a change in history, which means we would actually be living in a house, and we'd have all the stitchpunks.
Yeah.
Going by just having a stitchpunks in general, yes.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Yeah, because
64 extended members of your family. Let's see,
that are amazing.
How many speak German? Your crew speaks German.
My crew speaks German. The college punks that these guys don't know about speak German, depending on what language class they go to.
Columbia speaks Japanese.
Yes,
then, and let's see, you would have people that. Okay, one of the great things about the stitchpunks is that they all technically have, you know, things that they can do. They have talents. They have traits. It sounds really dumb, but there's actually somewhere I'm going with this. For example, the Franz Punks. If you guys have seen my DeviantArt, you have seen the Franz Punks. These are the Clockwork Gang. You've seen all of them if you've seen Desi's picture. Thank you, Desi. Oh my God.
Hey, that was my idea.
And thank you for commissioning it. These guys know a trade. I mean, how awesome would it be to learn how to work on clocks from a stitchpunk?
Oh yeah.
You know, somebody that can handle it on a...
It'd be like, it's like you're financially set for life, whether they want to do the clock making or whether you want to learn from them. It's still pretty kind of, you're set for life.
Not to mention the fact that you've got ones in RagNBone, you have ones that do different trades. I mean, let me think. You've got pilots. You've got Hemingway with his whittling and carving skills, which he teaches to 2.
Yeah, then Twain with sewing, and Tolstoy and Dickens.
And
Brad's a mechanic.
Crawford and Jarek
mechanics on planes.
Seriously, you would never have to have your car worked on again.
Oh.
You would know how to work on your car.
No more AutoZone, no more insane mechanics payments. Just stick a stitch punk in the engine and you're ready to go.
Skit and Dudley could do that for you.
Exactly. Oh my God. I mean, even with the machines. I mean, let's look at the machines we've got. We've got the Borzoi toy.
Well, they're not even machines.
They're not even machines. But if you're talking about just machines, we have the Somnambulist, which is pretty much like a daddy seamstress.
Picture a seamstress that's 6 foot tall, guys.
Yeah,
that's what a Somnambulist is.
Yeah, a hell of a lot creepier. We've got
Treat.
We've got Treat. We have the Pirates.
We have the False Punk.
We have the Oxford, which counts as a machine.
Yeah.
We have a couple of underground ones I haven't actually released yet. The Corgi, the Pemzini units, they actually count as machines. Hell, if you even added in the chimeras, and the chimeras are pretty goddamn creepy. I mean, you've got 2 Cerberus types that are the size of semis.
Think of undead things when you think of chimeras.
Yeah, and I mean, hell. Now, granted, if we went with the history, California wouldn't exist.
I mean, RagNBone, half of the worworld is pretty much destroyed. But,
yeah, I mean...
humans are humans. We pick up and we carry on. Life is normal in RagNBone. But it's according by our standards, is really not normal.
Yeah, I mean, California is no longer a part of the United States. It got blasted off because the plates of the entire planet moved. Yes, we've thought this much into it. And, I mean, you've got states that are no longer states. You have countries that no longer exist.
A large section of Europe is pretty much uninhabitable at this point. The range of the walkers and the range of what occurred back in World War II. World War II, mind you, in Rag and Bone history is not the Nazi World War II. World War II in Rag and Bone history is actually the Machines War.
Yeah, which is where pretty much the war that took place during the 9 movie.
Nazis arise actually in World War III, and the reason why Nazis arise in World War III is because basically we pushed Hitler a couple of years forward there.
Yeah, and I mean the Chancellor doesn't really count as Hitler. You can count him as Hitler. But we figured, you know what, if anybody was to take up another world war after this, or try to fix what the Age of the Machine destroyed, and think he was doing a good job of it, it'd be Hitler.
Basically, Hitler tried to rebuild Germany after it was the ground zero for World War II. Yeah. And he had the concept of, you know, being able to rebuild the world, and, you know, with Germany at the forefront, and when he wanted to restore Germany back to its former glory. The problem is, of course, that, you know, Hitler was a pretty crazy motherfucker, and frankly, like, he did blame the Jews, because if anybody caught this, I don't know if anybody caught this, but Dietrich, the man, the scientist.
Dietrich?
Dietrich is his name.
I called him Dietrich.
Dietrich, well, whatever, Dietrich.
I like Dietrich.
Dietrich. The scientist in our storyline is named Dietrich, and he actually was Jewish in our storyline. Thus,
he created the machine.
Hitler blames the Second World War, not the First World War. First World War happens before the storyline.
Yeah.
The Second World War, all on, you know, the scientist, on a Jew. Oh, the Jews! Hurrah!
And I mean, you've got, I mean, according to the way, if you were to go with the events of the movie and the way that we have Rag and Bone set up, you've got half the world's destroyed, a lot of the oceans, the Pacific Ocean specifically, now has insane crevices in it, because the chimeras actually are miners, and they're kind of like what the machines had the factory. The chimeras kind of congregate underground, and they're in giant open mines. If you've ever seen those Audi articles, like the Earth's biggest scars, where they're just giant mining facilities. It's kind of like that. They're abandoned, and the chimeras have kind of taken up housing these. And they're everywhere, because the chimeras came about in the Third World War, when Hitler thought he was making a change. And as a result, it didn't go the way that we wanted it to, as usual. And so, yay, pizza! And so, you just have the Pacific Ocean that it's kind of like instant volcanoes, underground volcanoes constantly. And so it's really kind of bad if you have ships going out there. And it's kind of like it's changed into a giant Bermuda Triangle. And then you also have to figure that with the way that the history has gone, religions are destroyed. Governments are completely in turmoil. And even the currency, the economy has just dropped. And it's gotten to the point where, at this particular point in time, it's about 35 years after the Third World War when our story Rag and Bone actually takes place. And the history for Rag and Bone actually goes all the way back to 288 BC and comes up front to 2009, 2010, 2011. And, I mean, there's a universal currency now, because you've had to band together with the way that the world is just kind of changed over. But even though it's kind of in that state where it's so unstable, and there's still the threat, there's still the emptiness, there's still the machines and the chimeras. I mean, hell, I'd do that for 64 fucking stitchpunks. I don't know about you, but I sure as hell would.
Not to mention, you know, having a lifestyle that
is pretty much what we're aiming for now. I mean, even, because we want to be antique dealers, and we want to have a house, the area that is displayed in the comic is a real area. We live in Winchester, and the house that we have is on Ironworks Road, and we want a house out on Ironworks Road. And it just kind of fit, that just kind of really fit perfectly into the story when you were like, oh yeah, we live on Ironworks Road. I'm like, there's an Ironworks Road in Winchester?
Yeah, she actually lived out of state for a while before she
Pennsylvania,
came down.
yeah.
And when she moved down here,
it was kind of amazing.
I told her, like, the first day she came down, I was like, I have to take you out on Ironworks Road and show you where the story takes place. And she goes, what?
Yeah, because, I mean, I thought we were just pulling a name out of our ass.
But everything that I was giving her was actual places in my hometown. I can point out places in my hometown, like, oh, this is where Brad lands his dirigible on this building during this part of the storyline.
Oh,
this is where this happens. What's awesome about this is that I have references for everything that takes place in the comic. All I have to do is go around and take pictures around town, and I have my reference shots.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad because I'd never been...
I advertised my hometown
I'd never been to Winchester before, never saw pictures of it. The only thing I ever saw was an opera house, which I had used for a perspective project that's down here. But I came down here, and my dad had driven me down here, because I don't have a license, I don't drive. Don't ask me why, I just hate driving. Think of it like I'm driving a machine, I don't know. But I came down here, and my dad had to ask me if I had ever been here before, because the minute we hit Winchester, I was like, oh, okay, this is this place, this is here, this is where Hannah works, this is where Brad does this is where this, so we gotta go this way, and we gotta go this way. Oh, look, there's Hannah's house. So, I didn't need a map. The minute I got here, it was just like, oh, hey, I know all of this shit from the comic.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of amazing.
Because RagNBone is so well blended with history of the world and the way that things actually, are set up in my area, in other areas.
This is really hot. How are you eating this? We're eating pizza. She made pizza.
I'm fine.
Is there any flour on it?
No, there's no flour on it. I used oil this time instead. But,
Hi, itty bitty.
A lot of the places in my town feature in the comic, not only that, but a lot of the way that the whole story runs focuses on history. My personal history and the world history. As far as my personal history goes, there's actually a point in the comic where we spend time at my mother's homestead, where she grew up, which is up in the fucking boonies. You want to talk about hillbillies? That is where hillbillies come from. They spawn from this point.
Does that mean you spawned?
No, I'm not. I'm second generation hillbilly. We're out of the mountains at this point. I may have the accent, sweetheart, but I haven't drank any moonshine yet in my life. It's a goal, but it hasn't happened yet. But
you are such a hillbilly.
As far as outside things, like, a lot of thought has gone into how this event and how the events of the movie changed the world in general and the world at large.
Because a lot of people don't think about that. I mean, I was thinking last night, we were listening to the Repo soundtrack, and it occurs to me, when you think about it on a worldwide scale, Repo would have never worked. It was just that one city. And when you think of it from that sort of scale, it's like, this government would have never existed. They would have never had this much power over this. And what would happen, like, over in Japan? Do they have the same setup? And would the entire world operate like this? Yeah. Would the entire world operate like this? I mean, I know they had it in different languages and shit on the billboards, but it's like, I don't know. Oh, and I read the synopsis on how Mags, gouges out her own eyes, then impales herself. I was like, yeah, I can read it, but I won't watch it. But, yeah, I was like, Repo, just the concept would have never worked on a worldwide scale. And it just occurred to me. I was like, oh, shit.
There are laws against monopolies.
Yeah, and I was like, there's shit in this comic we have got to figure out. We got to figure out the state of the economy. What's the currency we're using? Why does government function this way? And are we allowed to do this and this? And just because, the world's been terminated.
Half of the U.S. is emptiness, and we do have Border Patrol. Hey, Border Patrol is not for Mexicans. No, it is for machines.
And Chimera.
And the world is a bit more of a melting pot.
The military is everywhere now. They're not stationed in any particular place. They're everywhere, but because of that, they're stretched thin, because nobody really wants to join the military to fight against these things. But it's kind of necessary.
Machine sightings in domestic areas are taken very seriously because they're dangerous. Now, old war machines, aka machines from the first era, the
movie
the World War II era, are not taken quite as seriously because after the fabrication machine was destroyed, they're a bit more listless. They don't seem to know where they're going. They don't seem to know what's going on.
Whereas these new machines and the new
machines,
Chimeras,
anything created in World War III is still more active and awake. Basically, what it is the theory of it is that the machines from World War II are A, degrading because obviously they're old, and B, since they fabrication machine is destroyed, it can't necessarily control them. Mind
Yeah.
you, the fabrication machine didn't have complete control over them to begin with. Obviously, the cat beast was still active.